Hi, Joel Wendt here. It's been a while since I was able to make a Second American Revolution blog. If you notice a little details, you'll see the background is totally different. This is because over recent days I moved from one place to another place. The other thing that happened was that during what is called Holy Nights, I worked mostly on my other set of videos concerning the True White Brother. But today happens to be the day after Mr. Brown was elected to fill the Ted Kennedy seat in the Senate, and I wanted to talk about that event in the light of the various things we've talked about before, sort of keeping in mind certain facts. Let me review a little bit some of these facts. One is that we need to understand certain psychological complexities of people, and we also need to understand certain undercurrents in the time in which we live, which have to do with the end of one civilization and the beginning of another. And in the last blog I talked about the dark night as a very wonderful metaphor for the social present, where we have agents of social chaos, agents of social order, vigilantes, and also the fact that with government being broken, it was now dependent by and large for social order to come from the social below, not from the tops of hierarchical organizations. So with those ideas in mind, let's look a little bit at this election that just happened in Massachusetts between Mr. Brown and Ms. Coakley. One ostensibly a Republican and one ostensibly a Democrat. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of stuff out there about what this means. Without doubt, the Republicans will jump around and crow and say that it shows that the American people totally love Republican conservative ideas, and now they're going to be on a roll and everything's going to be fine, and the Republicans are going to march to some kind of total victory when the next Congress is reshuffled, because it has to be reshuffled every 2 years, and then among the Democrats you'll have a large variety of views. You'll have people saying, oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my, the world is falling in, we're lost, and other people will try to make more sense, one of which could be that, well, we got a wake-up call, maybe we haven't been doing things quite right. Now both of these points of view have some truth in them, but let's just look a little bit at the situation from a bit of a distance, kind of step back from it somewhat. What happened? Well, Ted Kennedy died, and he had been a liberal senator and a Democrat for a long, long time, and he was an old guard. He was part of what we might call the political past, the past where a certain degree of hierarchical structure had meaning, where if you were part of a certain family you could rise to political power and so forth. Now that created a vacuum, and it created a vacuum in an interesting time. We can think about these things as having more synchronicity than some people might want to allow for, but the fact was that he died at an interesting time, and that was the time in which from one point of view, the passage of the health care bill promoted by the Obama administration, and again, keep in mind that these are acts by government which isn't functioning very well, and that explains a lot why things aren't doing what one side or the other might want. There's a lot of power plays because of people addicted to power, and well, things get talked about in an idealistic sense. Not a lot happens because of strict idealism. A lot happens because certain people want to have their say. Now we also have a situation here in which in the beginning it was thought that the seat, Ms. Coakley sought, and of course there were other Democrats that sought it, was pretty safe because Massachusetts was a recognized liberal state, and a lot of people were going to come here and vote liberal and vote for a Democrat, and obviously that didn't happen. Now what can we gain from that? Well, it's difficult to know precisely, and some of which we're going to think about it could be a little bit speculative, but let's just keep in mind the general tendencies in the language we used before. One of the things we know is that people are unhappy with economic conditions in the United States of America, and they're quite justified in being unhappy. People aren't stupid. People are waking up, which is one of the theses that we've talked about from the beginning of these blogs. One of the things they're waking up to is the unnatural influence of financial institutions in the government. And in the Obama administration, even before Obama was elected, there was a certain group of people who had formerly been insiders inside the Clinton administration who were connected to the financial industry, to the banks and to the investment banks and all those people. And they were already inside the Obama election management, and then when Obama was elected, by the time the dust had cleared, I think it was Jon Stewart on The Daily Show that worked out that there were 17 people inside the United States government that formerly had been with Goldman Sachs, which is a major financial institution which continues to thrive in the current environment. Goldman Sachs, in fact, is a bit scary because they managed to play both sides of the question to their advantage as an institution, but that's a whole other issue. Okay, so what do we have here? We have here a vote that takes place in Massachusetts in which the voters are basically divided into three groups. Maybe about 30% of them are really Republicans and 30% of them are really Democrats, and the other 60% or other 40% consist of people who maybe don't vote or not, but are thought of as independents. They don't particularly like being Democrats or Republicans. Well, these people can shift their allegiance somewhat when they walk in the voting booth. We have to recognize that in a certain sense voting is a moral act. And when you get in that booth and you make a decision, you're not just deciding on ideas and idealisms and points of view and all of the stuff that on the surface seems to be what the election is about, and certainly what the advertising is directed at. But people walk into the voting booth and they vote as citizens of the United States of America. They vote as members of We the People. And there's not a lot that they can do. I mean, the Democrats and the Republicans just give them basically two choices. Well, that's not very much, two choices. But within that frame of reference, they can still act. And what they seem to have done is they have said, well, we don't like what the Democrats have been doing. We voted in the Democrats. The independents went with the Democrats because they thought the Democrats were going to come and actually change things, and it hasn't happened, and we don't like it. Now that's what that selection is about. That's the order coming from the social below. That's its organizing influence, which is we don't like what's going on. Wake up, Democrats!